Hello, this is that BMX guy, or Carl. This is another addendum review of my Carver Titanium RM, or race missile, or road missile. Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe RM can mean many things. It can mean race model, road model, it can mean anything. I just like road missile because that's kind of what it's for, road missiling, you know, fast, or fast enough. Anyway, since the last video, I went to a different drivetrain. So I moved the wheel up pretty much to where it's 14 and 3/4 with the help of these new JW longer chain sensors. They're just longer than the other ones. The dropouts are very long. Now I could just cut the ends of the dropouts, but this frame is like expensive. I want to keep the warranty. If it was like a steel frame, yeah, I'd be just cut it and just keep using the short ones. But either way, the wheel is further forward. This spider kind of moves the crank or sprocket outward. It's a 47 chain line. But since the wheel forward makes this seem further from the chain, I realize that the chain right now is about, well, it's about, you can get your finger in there, right? Before you couldn't really get your finger in there when the wheel is back with this front ring. If you watch the video of me assembling the bike, I started out with this ring and even the black crank. So we'll go over to the black crank in a second. But with the wheel all the way at 15 1/4, the chain was like an 1/8 inch away with the other chain ring and spider, which is right here, right? Since it has a little bit of an offset to push the sprocket or chain ring over the bottom bracket, versus that one where it kind of keeps it straight above. So if you look at it like that, it's kind of still in front of the cup. The other one, this one would make it so the sprocket's kind of over top of the cup. So the chain line's 47, and this will still hit at the loose spots, but it actually doesn't seem like it's hitting anywhere near as much. I don't know if I even went over in the other video that I put these black decals on here, but I did that. Yeah. As far as the way it's riding with this drivetrain, it does feel better. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think I did one long ride after changing the drivetrain. It seemed fine. So you may notice that the chrome arms are on here. These are the older stamped arms I bought in 2019. I'm not a fan of these black cranks that I had. If you look at these black cranks on this, well, they're not really scratching as much as it seems like the other ones were. Maybe because, I don't know, they're used. You know, I bought them used. Since they get scratched up, it doesn't really matter as much. But the idea is that with the chrome arms, they don't chip or anything. And I'm waiting for a profile to make some chrome laser etched arms that are 175 and, you know, new, because I did find a set that were used, but they seem to be a little worn versus like these that are still like new. Otherwise, like the way it's riding is fine. Like I said, there's no issues. But due to the fact that the profile doesn't seem to be making any chrome arms, I was going to try maybe using these Sram Force 1 cranks. Now, I need to get a bottom bracket yet, but I still use like a steel spindle. But these seem to be a nice option, and nobody ever talks about in BMX world, because it seems that in the worlds of BMX mountain biking and road, it's like you can't use BMX cranks on road or mountain bikes for some reason. it's like a no-no. But there's people that do it, like myself. We just never hear about it because nobody reviews it, nobody talks about it. Everyone just buys, the latest, greatest, Sram stuff or Shimano stuff. They don't really look at anything else. There's even Paul, White Industries, and other companies out there that make cranks that are fairly decent. I mean, they're aluminum arms. I'm not really a fan of aluminum arms in the first place, which these are kind of aluminum. I'll talk about that in a second. But they're technically a lot lighter than the profile cranks. The profile cranks are, 10 ounces per arm with a 6-ounce titanium spindle. So, to give you an idea, on these are probably like 6-ounce arms, if they're even that heavy, with a spindle that probably like 8 ounces, something like that. Meaning, these are much lighter, not that much lighter, but they're 26, and these are, you take 10 pounds or 10 ounces off of this one. I mean, that's almost a pound difference. I mean, it's pretty close to 10, right? I don't know. I don't know how much they weigh exactly at the moment. I don't want to weigh them yet. I was going to maybe wait until I switched them to weigh them. But at the moment, they're just going to stay as they are. These are for sale. That's why I got them. They were like $140 versus the normal price of $200 or something. Profile cranks are going for like at least $200 something before chrome. And these come with a sprocket. Okay, that's the value difference. It's a 42 tooth 1-by sprocket, as people like to call them. It's a Force 1. Okay, it's a 1-speed front chainring. It's 110, so I can technically use any Surly ring I have on this crank. I got the 110 46 right here. We have this 130 48 that was on, the 125R for a little bit. So, yeah, I bought a spider. This is a 130 BCD spider that is still offset, so it should make it, supposedly this one should be, I don't know, 45 or 47. I think all the way in will be 45, or who knows. You can probably make it 45 the way it is now. I'm just not using washers. So there's more of a trick to putting them on. But this is a 130 BCD where it will still offset the sprocket inward a little bit, so I can run the chain. Say if this is at 47, I can move a 2mm spacer to the outside of the sprocket to put that into 45 again, and then run that at 45 versus 47. So I'm not sure which way is 45 on this. Let's say on the outside it's 45, or who knows, I don't know. I can make it even narrower than that, but whatever the case, I'm going to put this spider on because it's bigger, and I can use the bigger rings. If I want to use the 48, I can use a 42, but I can also use a 46 on that. But there's more aluminum here. That's the whole reason why I wanted to use the 130 spider anyway, is because there's less steel, meaning less weight. And making a carbon fiber crank being on this thing, it's going to be even less weight. Now, why did I take a chance with this? Is because there's people that were mountain biking, used to come to the one bike shop I worked at, and Fishtown. It kind of hints to what the name of the shop was, but the one guy used to race all the time, and he was using these cranks and not having any issues with them. As far as I know, he probably still uses them, but he's probably using the dub cranks, which are just a bigger spindle. This is a 24mm or GXP spindle. Is it lighter or heavier? I don't know. Do I trust aluminum spindle? No. Can I say no? Because I don't really trust carbon fiber either. But yeah, we have this crank that's going to go on there, or maybe go on there. What I might do is I might put it on the fixed gear bike, because the fixed gear bike would probably benefit more with it. In the sense that the fixed gear bike is kind of its own thing. It's not trying to be, you know, spectacular. I have to get a bottom bracket because I tried this Shimano one and I think I'd rather have a Chris King bottom bracket with that. I need a sleeve for one side either way, which just looks like it's basically just a sprocket adapter for the BMX cranks. You know, like, hey, you can use a 22mm spindle and a 24mm sprocket. Well, that's basically all that needs to be adapted. It's a 22mm spindle to a 24mm bearing. That's all. So one of these adapters probably be fine, but I just don't like plastic. Why do they gotta use plastic pieces? I mean, it's just gonna disintegrate. I don't. It's one of the other reasons why I use the profile cranks. Is like everything's metal. Just like the hubs, everything's metal. Just like the paw brakes, everything's metal. There's nothing plastic on them. Plastic usually means disintegrating over time. Like the tires. It doesn't take that very long to get the tires to dry rot. I mean, I think after a year or two, they start letting all the crap in them. Because like, at first they seem to like keep stuff out of them, but after they start drying out a little bit, stuff goes through them. And that's usually why I replaced them. Otherwise, yeah, this crank would be interesting on there. It's already a 16-pound bike. Okay, 16 pounds, 15 or something like that. These would probably make it, you know, like 10 ounces lighter. It wouldn't make it that much different, but they would make it cooler. The other thing I see is that since they're road cranks, they kind of have a narrower Q factor that would make these wide bottom bracket bearings not make these cranks feel so wide, like I'm pedaling bow-legged or something. Yeah, and the other thing is like, since I'm running the clipless shoes, right, it just seems like my feet definitely want to hit this part more because my feet are stuck in a certain position on the pedal. And that's kind of why the black arm, especially the non-drive side or my power arm, is shipping the paint off all the time. So yeah, this is just another quick update on the Carver Bikes Ti custom frame and bike. So on to an epilogue. I have some other videos in store that aren't bikes. Okay, so we have that computer right there. That computer that I have 9 parts of that spans for the whole year. Right now, it has Ubuntu 22 because I like an operating system that I don't have to pay for that works still. And even though it updates just as stupid as Windows does, at least you didn't have to pay for solitaire. Okay, so there's things I don't like about Windows 11 that I didn't like on the laptop that my girlfriend partner has, because like I had to like, well, solitaire has ads, Windows Movie Maker has ads unless you pay for them, and that is total BS on Microsoft's part. Like, solitaire is one of those things that came with Windows since the beginning. Minesweeper, pinball, whatever. And now they charge you money to fucking use solitaire? Yeah, that puts a bad taste in my mouth when this corporate conglomerate a-hole that's a billionaire has to still get money for freaking operating systems. Like, it shouldn't be more money. It should always just update itself. So, I don't know. Anyway, this is That Being Nice Guy, and thanks for watching.